takes place in 1973, and it opens with the scene of Susie Salmon, a 14-year-old girl, getting raped and murdered walking home from school. The book jumps right into the action, and it makes it really easy to get into the book because you're immediately sucked in. The entire book is told from her point of view as she is in heaven looking down on the aftermath of her own death. In some ways, it's very morbid. Her own heaven is, as she describes it, our heaven had an ice cream shop where when you asked for peppermint stick ice cream, no one ever said it was seasonal. It had a newspaper where our pictures appeared a lot and made us look important. It had real men in it and beautiful women too, because Holly and I were devoted to fashion magazines. Sometimes Holly seemed like she wasn't paying attention, and other times she was gone when I went looking for her. That was when she went to a part of her heaven we didn't share. I missed her then, but it was an odd sort of missing, because by then I knew the meaning of forever. I could not have what I wanted most, Mr. Harvey dead, and me living. Heaven wasn't perfect, but I came to believe that if I watched closely and desired, I might change the lives of those I loved on earth. Susie believes in some ways that as she watches her remaining family on earth, that she can affect their lives. There are incidents where, as she views a scene, people in the room believe they hear her or feel her presence, and she believes she's actually causing that by watching them. The story follows Susie as she watches her family grieve the loss of their own daughter and sister. Her youngest brother is too young at the time to fully understand what it means for someone to die, but her sister, who is only a year younger than her, experiences it much differently. She watches her sister grow up and live the life she never got to live, and in some ways lives vicariously through her sister. Her parents grieve in a rather unhealthy way, and in many points of the book, I found myself thinking that the children were handling their grief, their relationships, in a much more mature manner than the adults were. Susie's mother, out of grief and loss, cheats on her husband and ends up leaving her family for years. Susie's father becomes so obsessed with Susie that he neglects his other children emotionally. Some parents may object to this book because the rape scene at the beginning is described with a reasonable amount of detail, and most of the adults in the novel are not portrayed in the most positive of light. The book portrays several healthy sexual teenage relationships and several adult relationships that are not as healthy. This may make a parent nervous if they believe their children will try to act in the same way. Overall, I enjoyed the book a lot, but at the end, several things happened that almost made me change my perspective of it. Even with a reasonable willing suspension of disbelief, I felt one incident at the end of the book seemed too far out, and it seemed to break the very rules the book had set up for itself. The book also ended with a very anticlimactic scene, and I don't know, some people might be into that more than I am. I didn't think it was particularly well done. Overall, I thought the book showed an interesting light to the children going through a grieving process and how they reach out to their friends and family and grieve in healthy ways, whereas the parents and most of the adults in the novel grieve in much more unhealthy ways. They seclude themselves, they isolate the people around them, and they don't express what they're feeling ever. Susie knows what they're feeling because she has a sort of omnipresent point of view in the novel, which makes it very interesting, because she is able to watch her family and several of the friends she left behind. Overall, I thought the book was okay. Honestly, the ending almost ruined it for me. Not completely, but I just thought the first half of the book was so great and was building up to such a great ending, and it just kind of fizzled out for me, and not in a satisfying way. But it handles a lot of really interesting themes, and I think you should check it out.